Guess who's back, back again, again. COVID's back, tough friend. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, all my good patrons. So, as you can see, we're talking about COVID still. Fucking, still. It's reared its ugly head once more, and there's been lots of talks of mandated vaccines, which is bullshit. And I'm gonna tell you why, or at least why I think that's bullshit. So, if you like this content, please like, subscribe, and I'll put some more out. But let's fucking get into it, eh? The COVID culture war. At what point should personal freedom yield to the common good? Trick question. Never is the only answer that is acceptable. If you consider yourself a libertarian in many sorts, and you're gonna find that, guess what? There's other people that agree with me. Weird, huh? Such as Judy Hart, who's 62 years old and works at Disneyland, and says she will never get the COVID vaccine because it's experimental. Right? So, left-wing talking point has been that, it's those dirty Trump supporters. They're the ones not getting vaccinated. You're right. Yep. Because, Anaheim, California is just the bastion of fucking MAGA country, as Jesse Smollett would say. But what about masks? Well, Hart wears one while working retail sales in the most magical place on earth, but nowhere else. It's against our freedom, she explains. I'm not sure, and I'm not some religious weirdo who thinks it's the mark of the beast. So far she's portraying herself as, a normal individual. He doesn't want to get it because, guess what? It's experimental. After more than 18 months of pandemic, with 1 in every 545 Americans already killed by COVID-19, a substantial chunk of the population continues to assert their own individual liberties over the common good. Well, that's their right? Like, that's... When did we become, this collective mass that is, the good of the many outweighs the good of the few? Like, that hasn't been the case. And like, that's never been the standard. No, so you could make arguments that maybe during World War II and during certain eras, typically wartime, that we made these sacrifices, and there was what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Not boycott, rationing. They ration stuff for the good of the war effort. But I think there's a difference in kind between, rationing to support a war to, fight Nazis, and making everyone get vaccinated to, maybe stop a disease that doesn't affect everyone the same. You know what I mean? Now I definitely get why some people need or feel that way, but at the same time, like, you don't have a right to assert yourself over someone else. But let's continue on. So the Great Divide, splitting into workplace, schools, supermarkets, voting booths, has split the nation at a historical juncture when partisan factionism and social media already are achieving similar ends. Well, so far, I'm liking this article. It seems kind of pointed, or not so pointed to one side. It's all making acute observations. Good job, USA Today. You may have found a fucking decent reporter. It's a phenomenon that perplexes sociologists, legal scholars, public health experts, and philosophers, causing them to wonder, at what point should individual rights yield to public interest? If coronavirus kills 1 in 100, will that be enough to change some minds, or 1 in 10? Well, that's a good question. And guess what? That's up to the people. Because I guarantee if this virus was killed 1 in 10 people, you couldn't make enough vaccine. Like, there would be people begging for extra doses. But it doesn't. It doesn't do that. So, that's a good question. But to make it mandatory is still not right. I'd say millions of U.S. residents shown vaccines that have proven highly effective and resist masks that ward off infection, fiercely opposing government restrictions. Okay, so this is a point of contention. Resist masks that ward off infection. So supposedly, according to Mr. Fauci, the demigod that he is, the bastion of truth, masks actually don't ward off infection. They prevent you from they limit you spreading it once you have coronavirus, because they don't let the droplets through. But outside of like having an actual mask, like an N95, you're not warding off infection. Guess what? Most people ain't wearing that shit. I don't have one, but that's neither here nor there. So, some people are not going to agree with that statement. I can understand why you said resist or mask with the statement that masks that ward off infection. They ward off the spread of infection, I guess would be the best way to put it. Others clamor for regulation, arguing that those who take no precautions are violating their rights, threatening the freedom to live of everyone they expose. Well, they're not violating your rights. Like, I guess your argument would be that they're what, you're going to charge them with attempted murder because you may get coronavirus for being around them. But how do you know that? Do you know they're vaccinated? You don't know shit about them. And also, it's a free country. So if you're so worried about it, stay home. If you go into a public space with someone who's unvaccinated, you're both there of your own free will. So you've entered into an agreement that you're going to occupy the same space, right? But that's not here nor there. Blah blah blah. No matter where one stanza puts a spin on the famous line delivered America's founding by Patrick Henry: "Give me liberty or give me death." Kinda, yeah. One could argue that, or the case that some people are trying to make is give me liberty and death, because people want the freedom to not get vaccinated, not wear a mask, right? And according to some people, that's basically death or a threat toward them. Not true, but this if you're not old, elderly, or have underlying conditions, me, I'm probably not at a huge risk from dying of this thing. Granted, there are a lot of fat fucks out there these days. So that doesn't help. But that doesn't mean that I should be mandated for the better good of you. Been so polarized. So seldom in the nation's past has cultural boundary been so so clear cut. The clash between personal rights and the public welfare been so polarized. We're a country that's based upon these unalienable rights. They're not granted to us by the government. They're granted to us by God. Like, for simply existing, these are our rights. So I think that's kind of the crux is, you can't have this taken away by the government. The government doesn't have the right to take it away. These rights. So depending on how you want to cut that, there's nothing this can do. It would be unconstitutional in a way, depending on how they went around it. Coronavirus is killing more than 2,000 Americans a week, according to data from Johns Hopkins. Yep, I'm going to show you that here in a second. With new infections topping 60,000 per day for the first time in more than 3 months. Nearly two-thirds of the nation's counties are reeling with substantially high transmission rates as defined by the Center of Disease Control. Um, so yeah, the case rate has gone way up. But the death rate hasn't. Interesting, right? So I think that's kind of where this argument lies. Because the death rate goes, we're up, you'd have more people getting the vaccine. It's been available. Fuck, I was a latecomer, and I got mine back in like June. So, like, this is all wishy-washy bullshit. We get it. You need to get vaccinated, and it's very polarizing, but it shouldn't be. The vaccine's been out. If you want it, you got it. If you didn't, you didn't. Why the fuck are we still talking about this? Why is this an issue? Why is this being, debated? You want it, you got it. If you don't, you didn't. Then you want to talk about hesitancy? That's on the messaging. I did a video on that. Fire Fauci. Get a better message. Get a better messenger. Been there. Not talking about that right now. It just goes on. More bullshit. Blah, blah, blah. It also means vaccines can prevent the mutation of multiple variants. Listen, most people getting it are the unvaccinated. But they're unvaccinated for a reason. And that's their right. Would it be better for everyone if they got it? Yes. It would be better for everyone. But you can't force them. That's tyrannical, and it's not right. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of this article. It's actually, like I said, fairly good article. Kind of unbiased in a certain way. And it's written about a lot of people in California. This blue state, right? It's not MAGA country, so it's not taking shots at Trump supporters, or as many. It compares this to the Typhoid Marys. Like, it's a little bit different. So, but let's jump into some CDC data. Whoop, whoop. These are your death rates for the last 7 days. And they're broken down by country. So, United States, we have 2,522 deaths over the last 7 days. Now, if we look over the past 30 days, we were at almost not even 8,000. So, what does that say? That the death rate is going up. If we, in less than 30 days, in the last 30 days, we're less than 8, but in the last 7, we're, at 25. That's an uptick. So there's, you can't deny it. COVID's going back around. Now, the breakthrough cases are low, and if you get it, you're not hospitalization, not really hospitalized. The people that are really having issues with this are the unvaccinated. Well, what are you gonna do? Like, you can't make them have it, or you can't make them take it. I just think that's so unethical. And that's your choice. But if cumulative, we're at 600,000, 613,000. Okay, so this number, we were told, was going to kill 2 million people in the United States alone. This was the data that was put out when coronavirus first started. That's what was the 15 days to stop the spread. What happened to that, right? Like, where's the logic? You moved the goalpost. You did it once, and now you're trying to do it again with your vaccine rates because you're not happy with how things turned out. Okay? Yes, it's going back around. Yes, people are dying. But that does not give you the right to force people to vaccinate. Okay? It just doesn't. Does not. This is for the last 24 hours, by the way. So, that's how it is. That's how it cuts. And that's how it should be. If you think differently, well, I'm sorry. But you need to respect other people's individual freedoms. Does this make them terrible? No. Are they trying to kill grandma? No. Some people can't even get vaccinated for medical reasons. What are you going to do with them? You can't just force this shit on people. They made choices. Let them live their lives, and let them, they'll suffer those consequences. That's not on you. If you're so worried, get vaccinated, right? Like, people who've been vaccinated aren't dying from this. If you get a case, it's mild at best, typically, because you've been vaccinated. You did the smart thing. You did your job. Now let other people suffer. That's fine. That's on them. That's their choice. You can't save everyone. Stop. Like, stop trying to be emotional and think this through. Because if you start down that road, you're not going to like it. Okay? Well, thank you for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.